The August sun beat down on Memphis, Tennessee, a golden hammer on the humid air. But inside Graceland, the king's castle, the air was cool, almost reverent, as if the very walls held their breath. Lena, a college student on her summer break, clutched her backpack tighter, her heart thrumming with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. This was it, her dream summer job, a junior intern at Graceland. Today, however, she was just another face in the crowd, taking the official tour as part of her orientation. She'd studied Elvis Presley since she was old enough to hum Hound Dog, her passion for his music running as deep as the roots of the ancient oak trees. Outside Graceland's gates, she knew the history, the discography, the movies. But walking these hallowed halls, seeing the opulent living room, the famous jungle room with its shaggy green carpet and Polynesian decor, it was different. It was alive. Their tour guide was a man named Mr. Henderson, a Graceland veteran with a voice like gravel and eyes that had seen 1,000,000 tourists and probably 1,000 memories of Elvis himself. He spoke with a quiet authority, pausing at each room, painting vivid pictures with his words. He talked about Elvis's generosity, his love for his family, his quirks. Lena hung on every word, soaking it all in. They moved from the main floor down to the basement, a space that felt surprisingly modern for its time, yet still distinctly Elvis. The bright yellow pool table room, the iconic TV room with its 3 television sets built into the wall, a symbol of Elvis's desire to watch multiple channels at once. Lena felt a strange sense of familiarity here, a comfort she couldn't explain. Maybe it was just the sheer Elvis-ness of it all. Mr. Henderson stopped in the doorway of the TV room, his voice dropping to a near whisper, yet still carrying to every corner of the crowded space. "Now, folks," he began, his gaze sweeping over the rapt faces. "This room right here, the TV room, was one of Elvis's favorite spots. He spent countless hours down here, relaxing, watching movies, listening to music." A few people murmured, snapping photos. Lena reached for her phone, ready to capture. Then Mr. Henderson paused, a glint in his eye that Lena hadn't seen before. But it was also, he continued, his voice even lower now. "The one room in Graceland that Elvis Presley himself said was haunted." A ripple went through the group. Gasps, whispers. Lena froze, her phone half raised. Haunted Elvis? She'd never read anything about that in any of her books, any of her research. It wasn't in the official Graceland brochures. This was new, intriguing, and utterly captivating. A woman in the front row asked, her voice trembling slightly, "Haunted? By what a ghost?" Mr. Henderson gave a slow, enigmatic smile. "Elvis never specified by one," he said, his eyes scanning the room as if looking for something unseen. "He just said he felt a presence here, a strong one." He paused again, letting the words hang in the air. He said it sometimes felt like someone was watching him, or a feeling that wasn't his own. He even spoke of a chill, sometimes when the Memphis heat was at its worst. Lena felt a shiver, despite the warmth of the room. It wasn't a chill of fear, but a profound curiosity. What could Elvis have meant? Was it a joke, or was there something more? She looked around the room, trying to see it through Elvis's eyes. The dark velvet drapes, the mirrored walls, the 3 televisions now showing a loop of Elvis's concerts. It looked like a comfortable den, a place of escape. But if Elvis, the fearless king of rock and roll, felt something here, something enough to call it haunted, then it wasn't just a regular room, he said. Mr. Henderson continued almost to himself that sometimes when he was alone here, especially late at night, the air would just change. The silence wasn't empty. It was full. He looked directly at Lena, then his gaze piercing, full of something he couldn't name, but he felt it deep in his bones. Lena felt a strange pull towards the room, a magnetic force she couldn't resist. She took a step closer to the threshold, peering past the velvet rope. She wanted to feel it, whatever it was. She wanted to understand what Elvis had felt. The room seemed ordinary enough, but the words haunted and presence had woven a new layer of mystery around it. The rest of the tour continued, but Lena's mind kept drifting back to the TV room. The jungle room, the trophy room, the racquetball court. They were all amazing, but the mystery of the TV room overshadowed them all. She knew with a sudden certainty that her summer at Graceland was going to be about more than just historical facts and visitor services. It was going to be about understanding the man behind the legend and perhaps the lingering echo he left behind. As the tour concluded and the group dispersed, Lena approached Mr. Henderson. "Mr. Henderson," she began, her voice a little shaky with excitement. "That story about the TV room, is it true? I mean, did Elvis really say it was haunted?" Mr. Henderson chuckled a dry, raspy sound. "Lena, isn't it? The new intern. You advertise for obvious reasons. But it's a story known among the long-time staff. Elvis mentioned it to his closest friends, to his family. It wasn't a ghost story, not in the way most people think. It was something else." "Something else?" Lena pressed. "A feeling, a presence. He never felt scared. He just felt watched, or like the room held an energy, a memory that wasn't his. It bothered him. You'll be spending a lot of time in these halls, Lena. Pay attention, these walls. They have stories to tell, more than just the ones in the history books." Lena thanked him, her mind buzzing. She had a feeling Mr. Henderson knew more than he was letting on. This wasn't just a job. It was an invitation to a deeper understanding of Elvis Presley. And she was determined to unravel the mystery of the haunted room, to see if she too could feel the echo of the king. The next few days at Graceland were a blur of introductions, paperwork, and learning the ropes. Lena was assigned to the visitor services team, which meant she'd be helping with guest inquiries, directing tours, and occasionally restocking the gift shop. It wasn't glamorous, but it put her right in the heart of Graceland, exactly where she wanted to be. Every chance she got, Lena found herself gravitating towards the basement. She'd offered to help clean the velvet ropes near the entrance to the TV room, or straighten the display cases in the pool room. She knew it probably looked like she was just being diligent, but in truth, she was conducting her own private investigation. She'd stand there just outside the threshold of the TV room, trying to feel it, that presence Elvis spoke of. At first, she felt nothing but the general hum of the air conditioning and the distant chatter of other tourists. The room itself, with its vibrant yellow and blue decor, its slightly retro feel, seemed perfectly normal. The 3 TVs played old concert footage, Elvis's electrifying performances, his smile reaching out across the decades. How could a place so full of life, so vibrant with Elvis's energy, also be considered haunted? During her lunch breaks, Lena buried herself in the small Graceland staff library, a treasure trove of obscure books, old articles, and even some personal anecdotes about Elvis. She searched for any mention of the TV room, any hint of an unusual occurrence. She found nothing in the official records about it being haunted. It seemed Mr. Henderson's story was part of an unspoken, almost legendary lore among the long-time staff. One afternoon, while restocking brochures, Lena spotted Mr. Henderson in the hallway, adjusting a velvet rope. She decided to press him for more details. "Mr. Henderson," she said, approaching him hesitantly, "I've been thinking a lot about what you said about the TV room." He turned, a familiar twinkle in his eyes. "Still got that bug, do you?" Lena nodded eagerly. "I just can't find anything in the official history. Was it something only a few people knew?" Mr. Henderson leaned against the wall, a thoughtful expression on his face. "It was a different kind of haunting." "What kind of haunting?" Lena asked, leaning in closer. "It was a sanctuary, but sometimes a sanctuary can also be a mirror." Lena frowned, trying to follow. "A mirror? So, you think it's not a ghost, but his own feelings?" Lena mused aloud. Mr. Henderson shrugged slightly. Maybe it was a sensitivity he had. Elvis was a deeply spiritual man, Lena. He believed in things beyond what we could see. Perhaps he was simply more attuned to the energies around him than most people. Look, the tour groups will be thinning out. Soon, we close at 6. If you're truly curious, try to spend some time down there, during your last rounds. Just feel it, don't dictation. She wouldn't just read about Elvis, she would try to feel him, to understand the man who inhabited these walls. That evening, as the last of the tourists shuffled out and the lights in the mansion began to dim, the silence was different now, not empty as Mr. Henderson had said, but full. The air felt heavier, quieter. The distant hum of the building seemed to fade. She stood at the velvet rope of the TV room, taking a deep breath. She could still hear the faint echoing melodies of Elvis's music from the TVs, a continuous loop of his legacy. She closed her eyes, trying to clear her mind to be receptive at first. Nothing, just the sounds of the building settling the distant footsteps of security. Lena felt a pang of disappointment. Maybe she was just imagining things, letting Mr. Henderson's story get to her head. Then, slowly, subtly, she felt a shift in the air. Not a chill, not a sudden drop in temperature, but a sensation of density. It was like walking into a room where someone had just been leaving their warmth, their presence behind. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there. And then a fleeting feeling like a whisper against her mind. A surge of creativity, followed by a profound sense of melancholy. It was so quick, so fleeting, that Lena almost dismissed it as her own imagination, but it had felt distinct, separate from her own thoughts. She opened her eyes, looking around the room. The familiar objects seemed to pulse with a faint, invisible energy. The record player on the shelf, the comfortable armchairs, they weren't just furniture. They were witnesses. Lena spent a few more minutes there, just breathing, trying to deepen the connection. She felt a growing curiosity, a sense that this room held a secret, not of a ghost, but of a man. A man who was more than a legend, more than a voice, but a complex, feeling human being. The haunting wasn't scary. It was a profound invitation, an invitation to understand, and Lena was ready to accept. Lena's shifts at Graceland became a routine, but her fascination with the TV room never waned. Every day, after the last tour group departed and the mansion settled into its evening quiet, she'd make her way to the basement. She'd find an excuse, checking the ropes, tidying a display, ensuring the lights were off, anything to allow her a few uninterrupted minutes near the TV room. The subtle shifts she'd felt on that first evening became more distinct with each visit. It wasn't a constant presence, but it would ebb and flow. Sometimes the room felt ordinary, other times it felt charged. One evening, as she stood near the entrance, listening to the soft hum of the old TVs playing Elvis's Blue Suede Shoes on repeat, she felt it strongly. A wave of profound sadness washed over her, so intense it felt alien, as if it didn't belong to her. It was accompanied by a strange feeling of quiet. Lena closed her eyes, letting the emotion wash over her. It wasn't frightening, just overwhelmingly poignant. It was gone as quickly as it came, leaving her breathless. She opened her eyes, staring at the room. This wasn't a spooky ghost trying to scare her. This wasn't a spoofy ghost meant to scare her. Raw, unadulterated emotion, preserved within the very fabric of the room. It felt like an echo, a lingering imprint of Elvis's deepest feelings. Mr. Henderson's words about the room being a mirror resonated deeply now. The next day, she sought out Mr. Henderson again during her lunch break. He was in the staff lounge, sipping coffee. "Mr. Henderson," Lena began, her voice earnest, "I think I'm starting to understand what you meant about the TV room." He raised an eyebrow, a knowing smile playing on his lips. "Oh, and what do you understand, Lena?" Lena hesitated, trying to put her fragmented feelings into words. "It's not a ghost, not like in the movies. It's like the room remembers. It holds his feelings, Yesterday I felt this incredible sadness, almost like a yearning. It felt so strong it couldn't have been just my imagination. Mr. Henderson put down his coffee cup, his expression serious. That's it, Lena. That's exactly it. You're starting. Ilse spent a lot of time. So the presence, he felt it was his own emotions, amplified by the space, Lena asked, piecing it together. Perhaps it was the emotions of everyone who loved him, who connected with him through his music, all reverberating in his most private space. Elvis absorbed. Everation. The adoration, the expansion. Lena thought about Elvis's life, the meteoric rise, the unimaginable fame, the isolation that came with it. It made sense that he would feel burdened even in his own home. TV room where he sought refuge would also be the place where the weight of his world settled on him. He told Vernon, his father, once. Mr. Henderson continued, his voice soft, tense. The room felt too full, not of people, but of everything. Like the air was thick, with unspoken thought, with the echoes of saw. This wasn't about spooks. It was about the profound human experience of a man who carried the world on his shoulders. The haunting was a testament to his emotional depth, his sensitivity. Later that evening, Lena went back to the TV room. This time, she didn't just stand outside. The security guard, old Frank, who knew of her peculiar interest, gave her a small nod. "Just 5 minutes, kid, lights out soon." Lena stepped inside, past the velvet rope, careful not to touch anything. She sat down on the thick yellow carpet, cross-legged, facing the 3 TVs. She closed her eyes, letting the faint sounds of Elvis's voice wash over her. She imagined him here, sitting in one of those chairs, perhaps staring at the blank screens, or listening intently to a gospel record. She focused on her breathing, letting go of her own thoughts, trying to be an empty vessel, open to whatever the room had to offer. And it came. Not sadness this time. This time it was a surge of vibrant, restless energy, a feeling of creative urgency, of wanting to express something, a melody forming in her mind. It was overwhelming, almost exhilarating, like a sudden burst of inspiration, followed by a fleeting sense of frustration, as if the idea couldn't quite be captured, couldn't quite be held. Lena felt her fingers twitching, wanting to reach for a guitar, a piano. She was a budding musician herself, a joker who often struggled with writer's block. This feeling was exactly what she often yearned for, that raw, undeniable spark of creativity. But it was fleeting, elusive. This was what Elvis must have felt here, she realized. The joy of creation, the struggle to perfect, the frustration of the unexpressed. The room wasn't haunted by a ghost, but by the very essence of a creative genius, by his triumphs and his struggles, by his quiet moments of humanity. It was a profound experience. Lena felt a deep sense of connection. Not just to the legend, but to the man. The TV room wasn't scary. It was a sanctuary of memory, a repository of a great soul's journey. And Lena, an aspiring musician, felt a new understanding stirring within her, a quiet, powerful echo that resonated deep in her own artistic heart. The room was calling to her, not to fear, but to understand, to feel, and perhaps to create. The more time Lena spent in the TV room, the more she felt she was peeling back layers of a hidden story. It wasn't about supernatural frights. It was about the profound imprint of a human being. She began to view the haunting, not as something spooky, but as a kind of emotional resonance, a historical memory held within the very air of the room. During her quiet moments there, she started to notice patterns. The sense of sadness often appeared when Elvis's slower, more melancholic songs were playing on the TVs. "Are You Lonesome Tonight?" or "Can't Help Falling in Love." The burst of creative energy tended to coincide with his more energetic tracks or the gospel songs. It was as if the room itself was a conduit for his emotions, reflecting the music that was his lifeblood. One evening, after the last staff member had left the basement, Lena found herself alone in the quiet expanse. Frank, the security guard, had given her permission to stay a little longer. Knowing her fascination, she sat on the carpet again, close to the threshold, her gaze fixed on the record player in the corner. She imagined Elvis sitting in one of those plush chairs, flipping through his extensive record collection. Suddenly, a distinct feeling of comfort washed over her, a warmth that settled deep in her chest. It was a feeling of deep peace, of quiet content. It was followed by a sense of profound love, not romantic love, but a boundless, generous affection. It felt like the kind of love one feels for family, for friends, for humanity. This was a new feeling, different from the sadness or the creative energy. Then a whisper seemed to form in her mind, clear as if someone had spoken it, aloud, yet without a sound. "Music, it's the only truth," Lena gasped, her eyes flying open. Had she imagined it important? She closed her eyes again, trying to recapture the feeling, the whisper. It didn't return in the same clear form, but the warm, loving presence lingered like a gentle hand on her shoulder. She rushed to Mr. Henderson the next morning, her words tumbling out in a rush. "Mr. Henderson, something incredible happened last night. I felt this immense love, this peace, and then I heard something in my mind, like a thought that wasn't mine. It said, 'Music.'" Mr. Henderson listened patiently, a quiet smile on his face. "You're really tuning in, aren't you, Lena?" he said. That feeling of love, of generosity, that was Elvis. He was an incredibly loving and giving person. His heart was as big as the only truth that's a direct quote from Elvis. He said it many times. He truly believed it. Lena felt a shiver of understanding. It wasn't just feelings. It was a connection to his actual thoughts, his core beliefs. So the room, it's like a record of his soul? In a way, yes, Mr. Henderson affirmed. Imagine a powerful magnet. It leaves an invisible field around it, and that room, where he was often alone, vulnerable, process, everything, it absorbed that force. It holds his essence, his spirit. If you will, it's not a ghost trying to scare you. Get your will. It's not a ghost trying to scare you. It's an echo of a beautiful, complex man. TV room wasn't a place of fear, but a place of profound insight into Elvis Presley's inner world. The sadness she felt was his struggle. The creative energy was his genius. And the love and the whisper about music being the only truth was his soul, his guiding principle. She started bringing a small notebook with her, jotting down every sensation, every fleeting emotion she felt in the room. She would sit, meditate, and simply listen. She learned to distinguish between her own feelings and the subtle imprints of Elvis's. One afternoon, a wave of profound gratitude washed over her, accompanied by a feeling of immense responsibility. It felt like the weight of a legacy, the desire to share something precious with the world. And again, a gentle mental nudge, like a guiding hand. Share the music. Keep it alive. Lena realized then that the haunting wasn't just about Elvis's past. It was about his enduring message. He poured his heart and soul into his music, and in this room that essence remained. He wanted his music, his truth, to continue inspiring, comforting, and moving people. The room wasn't just remembering, it was still communicating. The mystery of the haunted room was unfolding, not as a scary tale, but as a heartwarming story of a legend's lingering spirit. Lena, an aspiring musician herself, felt an undeniable pull, a growing sense that this unique connection to Elvis had a purpose. The room was not just teaching her about Elvis. It was teaching her about herself, about the power of music and the enduring nature of true passion. The unseen invitation was becoming an urgent call. As weeks turned into a month, Lena's bond with the TV room deepened. It became her sanctuary within Graceland, a place she sought out not just for observation, but for solace and inspiration. The haunting was no longer a mystery to unravel, but a living connection to Elvis Presley's inner world. She discovered that the energy in the room was most palpable in the late afternoons. Just as the sun began to dip, casting long shadows across the grounds outside, it was a time when the mansion quieted and the rush of visitors subsided, leaving the air thick with anticipation. One particular evening, Lena felt a unique shift, a feeling of restless energy combined with a yearning for connection. She closed her eyes, letting the familiar hum of the TVs and the faint echo of Elvis's voice fill the space. Then, distinct and clear, she felt a melody forming in her mind. It wasn't an Elvis song, she knew, but something entirely new, yet unmistakably infused with his spirit. It was a bluesy tune with a melancholic yet hopeful undertone. A melody that spoke of longing, of dreams, and of the enduring power of a song. Lena felt an urge to capture it, to write it down. She quickly pulled out her small notebook and began to hum, trying to translate the ethereal notes into something tangible on paper. The feeling in the room intensified, as if Elvis himself was nodding, encouraging her. She hummed the melody over and over, refining it, adding a rhythm that felt natural. It was an overwhelming sensation, like she was channeling something bigger than herself. When she finally had a rough sketch of the melody and a few lyrical ideas, words about finding comfort in music, about leaving a part of yourself behind in the songs you sing, she looked up breathless. The air in the room felt lighter, almost triumphant. The lingering presence, which had felt like a profound echo, now felt like a gentle embrace. It was as if Elvis was sharing a piece of himself, a spark of his creative fire with her. She met Mr. Henderson the next morning, practically vibrating with excitement. I think I wrote a song last night," she blurted out, skipping the pleasantries. "In the TV room, it just came to me." Mr. Henderson's eyes twinkled. "Ah, the gift of inspiration." "So, the king is still writing, even now?" Lena smiled. A wide, genuine smile. It felt like it. Like he was helping me, guiding me. She described the melody, the feelings it evoked. It was like the sadness and the joy and the creative energy all came together into this one song. "That's beautiful, Lena," Mr. Henderson said softly. "Elvis always believed music was a gift. He poured his entire being into it in that room. It holds the essence of that devotion for someone like you, a musician. It makes perfect sense that his spirit would resonate with your own creative spark." Elvis didn't just feel a presence in that room. He also felt a connection to something eternal, something beyond himself. That's where he processed his true calling, his spiritual journey. The haunting wasn't just about his feelings, it was about his spiritual quest, his seeking for deeper meaning. And in that search he found his voice, his truth, which he then shared with the world through his music. The room was not just a place of rest, but a crucible of his artistic and spiritual awakening. She spent the next few days refining her song, adding more lyrics, shaping the melody. She found herself humming it during her shifts, the tune bringing a sense of calm and purpose. The song felt like a direct link to Elvis, a shared language of music that transcended time. One afternoon, a small group of senior staff members, including Mr. Henderson, were gathered in the main office. Lena, feeling a surge of courage, decided to ask a question that had been forming in her mind. "Mr. Henderson," she began, do you think other people have felt this connection in the TV room? Not necessarily knew it was Elvis, but just felt something unique." He nodded slowly. "Oh yes. Visitors often comment on the atmosphere in the basement. Some say it feels heavy, others say it's peaceful. Musicians, especially, sometimes mention feeling an urge to sing, or a sudden burst of an idea. They just don't know why. They don't know the story about Elvis calling it haunted. You, my dear, are simply more sensitive, more attuned to the frequency of this place. And because you're a musician, you're speaking the same language as the king." Lena felt a warmth spread through her. The haunting was not a burden, but a gift. A gift of inspiration, a direct line to the creative wellspring of Elvis Presley. She knew now that her summer at Graceland was far more than just a job. It was a pilgrimage, a wheeling journey that was shaping her, not just as an intern, but as an artist. TV room, the haunted room, was truly a portal to the heart and soul of the king. Lena found herself spending nearly every spare moment in the TV room. It had become her refuge, her muse, her silent mentor. She'd bring her small notebook and a pencil, sitting cross-legged on the carpet, soaking in the atmosphere. She continued to work on the song that had come to her, feeling it evolve with each visit, each subtle energetic shift in the room. The song was taking shape beautifully. It was a ballad, soulful and reflective, with lyrics that spoke of finding peace in melody, of the echoes of life lingering in beloved spaces, and of the enduring power of love and memory. It wasn't a loud rock and roll anthem, but a quiet, heartfelt tribute, a sound that felt deeply personal, almost like a lullaby from the king's private thoughts. She felt the full spectrum of Elvis's emotions in the room now, the deep sadness that sometimes bordered on loneliness, the restless creative energy that drove him, the immense joy he found in music and in giving, and above all, the profound, unwavering love he had for life and for people. These weren't scary feelings. They were intensely human, making the legend feel more real, more accessible. One evening, Mr. Henderson caught her humming her new song softly as she was tidying up near the basement entrance. He paused, listening. "That's a beautiful melody, Lena," he said, his voice gentle. "Did it come from the room?" Lena nodded, her cheeks flushing slightly. "I think so. It feels like it's been waiting to be sung." "Perhaps it has," he mused. Elvis had so many unexpressed thoughts, so many melodies in his head that never made it to a record. He loved to sing, even when no one was listening, especially gospel. He said it soothed his soul. Lena thought about the gospel music she'd often hear playing on the TVs in the room, and the sense of peace that often accompanied it. It all fit. The haunting was a tapestry of Elvis's experiences, woven into the very fabric of Graceland. No expectations, no audience, just him and his music or his thoughts. That's why it held so much of his essence. Lena nodded, understanding, settling deep within her. The room was not haunted by a ghost seeking attention, but by the quiet, vulnerable humanity of Elvis Presley. It was a space where his soul could breathe, and where even now, that breath still lingered. She decided to play the full song for Mr. Henderson. There was an old, out-of-tune guitar in the staff lounge, left behind by a previous employee. Lena carefully tuned it, her fingers trembling slightly. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and began to play and sing the song she called Echoes in Graceland. Her voice, soft and clear, filled the small lounge. The melody, rich with the melancholic beauty she'd felt in the TV room, flowed from her. The lyrics spoke of a lonely king, a hidden room, and the lasting power of a song. When she finished, the silence in the lounge was profound. Mr. Henderson sat motionless, his eyes distant, a single tear tracing a path down his withered cheek. "Lena," he said, his voice thick with emotion. That's truly remarkable. It captures him, the man, not just the legend. It's like hearing his heart speak." Lena felt a surge of warmth, a profound sense of validation. She had translated the haunting into something beautiful, something tangible. "You've honored him, Lena," Mr. Henderson continued. "You've given voice to something that was just a feeling, a whisper in the walls. That song, it carries his spirit." He then told her a story she hadn't heard before. Elvis sometimes struggled to find new inspiration. Even with all his fame, he'd sit in that room for hours just listening to records, waiting for something to spark. He'd say, "The music is out there, I just gotta catch it." He believed music was everywhere, floating in the air, waiting to be found. Lena felt a deep connection to Elvis in that moment, a shared understanding of the creative process, the struggle, and the breakthrough. The TV room, she realized, wasn't just haunted by Elvis. It was a testament to his artistic journey, a place where the king in his quiet moments became a seeker, and where his legacy continued to inspire. She knew she had to share this song, not just for herself but for him. It was the unspoken song of Graceland finally given a voice. The song echoes in Graceland became Lena's quiet companion. She hummed it during her shifts, refined it during her breaks, and played it nightly in the staff lounge after hours. Mr. Henderson became her confidant, listening to each iteration, offering gentle encouragement. He saw the transformation in Lena, how the haunting had not only inspired her music, but had also opened her up, making her more confident and deeply connected to the legacy of Graceland. The TV room, once a mysterious anomaly, was now a sacred space for Lena. She no longer felt just an echo of Elvis's emotions, but a deep sense of presence, like a benevolent guardian. It felt as if Elvis himself, through the lingering imprint of his spirit, was watching over her, encouraging her creative journey. One afternoon, while Lena was tidying the ropes in the basement, a new intern, Maya, approached her. Maya was a year younger than Lena, bright and energetic with a no-nonsense attitude. "Hey, Lena," Maya said, adjusting her Graceland polo. "Why do you always hang out down here?" "This basement gives me the creeps sometimes," Lena smiled. "Creeps? How so?" Maya shrugged. "I don't know, just a weird vibe, especially in that TV room. It's like the air feels different, heavy or something." "My coworker said Elvis said it was haunted." Lena's heart fluttered. This was her chance to share what she had learned, to explain the haunting in a new light. "He did say that," Lena confirmed, "but it's not like a scary ghost haunting. It's a feeling, an echo of his emotions." She then told Maya everything about Mr. Henderson's stories, about the sadness, the creative energy, the profound love, and the quiet whispers in her mind. She told her about the song that had come to her born from the very essence of the room. Maya listened, her initial skepticism slowly replaced by curiosity. "So you're saying it's like the room soaked up his feelings, and now you can feel them?" "Exactly," Lena said, her voice filled with passion. "He's spent so much time in there being truly himself without the cameras or the crowds, all his hopes, his fears, his dreams, his struggles, they all settle there. It's a profound thing, Maya, to feel that connection. To someone so... I don't know. I still get a strange feeling. Not scary, but powerful. Like a lot happened in there." "A lot did," Lena agreed. "It was a place of reflection, of creation, of deep thought. He sought comfort there, and sometimes he wrestled with the burdens of his fame." Maya was quiet for a moment, then looked at Lena. "No, not at all. It's comforting, in a way. It's like he's still here, inspiring us. It's a gift, not a curse." Maya was still uncertain, but Lena could see the seed of intrigue had been planted. She had shared her unique understanding of the haunting, and it felt good to articulate the depth of her experience. Later that week, Lena approached Mr. Henderson with an idea that had been brewing. "Mr. Henderson, I was thinking I'd like to dedicate my song Echoes in Graceland to the spirit of Elvis, and to this room I want to perform it." Mr. Henderson looked at her, his eyes. Lena took a deep breath. "Here at Graceland may be at the end of a long day, for staff or even a small group of visitors if it's allowed. I want to share the true spirit of this place, the one that goes beyond the exhibits, the human side of Elvis, the one that lives in this room." Mr. Henderson considered her words, then a wide smile spread across his face. "That's a wonderful idea, Lena. A beautiful tribute. Elvis would have loved that. He loved music that came from the heart, music that told a true story." He paused, then added, "You know, Elvis always said he wanted his music to touch people, to make them feel something deep inside. This song, It sounds like it does just that. You're not just singing a song. You're sharing a piece of Graceland's soul. She wasn't just an intern anymore. She was a keeper of a unique truth, a voice for the unspoken stories within Graceland's walls. The haunting was no longer just her private revelation. It was a message, a legacy, meant to be shared. The sacred space of the TV room had given her not only inspiration, but also a profound sense of mission. Mr. Henderson, true to his word, helped Lena arrange a special small gathering. It wasn't advertised to the general public, but a notice was placed in the staff break room, inviting Graceland employees and a few selected long-time visitors to an informal acoustic performance by Lena. The event was scheduled for a Saturday evening after the last tour in the main living room to avoid disturbing the quieter sanctity of the basement. Lena was nervous, but it was a good kind of nervous. A feeling of anticipation, of readying herself to share something deeply personal and meaningful. She practiced echoes in Graceland, constantly ensuring every note, every lyric conveyed the profound connection she felt to the TV room and to Elvis himself. The day of the performance arrived. Lena spent her shift feeling a quiet buzz of energy. As the evening approached, she took a few minutes alone in the TV room. She sat on the carpet, closed her eyes, and let the familiar sensations wash over her. The deep peace, the creative energy, the profound love. She felt a quiet confidence settle within her, a feeling of gentle encouragement. It was as if Elvis's presence, the very haunting of the room, was giving her strength, reassuring her that she was doing the right thing. The room wasn't just a place of quiet contemplation anymore. It felt like a silent partner in her journey, a testament to the enduring power of dreams and passion. When she walked into the main living room, a small group had gathered. Mr. Henderson, Maya, a few other Graceland staff she'd come to know, and about a dozen older, devoted Elvis fans who were regulars at Graceland events. The grand room, usually bustling with tourists, felt intimate and reverent in the soft evening light. Lena took a deep breath as she picked up the acoustic guitar Mr. Henderson had borrowed for her. She stood in front of the famous white piano, feeling the weight of Graceland's history all around her. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice a little shaky at first, but gaining strength. "My name is Lena, and I'm an intern here at Graceland this summer. I'm also a musician, and this experience has been truly joy." She paused, then looked directly at Mr. Henderson, who gave her an encouraging nod. "Many of you know the official history of Graceland, but there are also stories known only to those who spent years here, who felt the heartbeat of this place." She then told them simply and sincerely about the TV room. She spoke of Elvis calling it haunted, not as a ghost story, but as a place where he felt a profound presence. She shared how she too had felt that presence, the sadness, the joy, the incredible creative energy, the deep love. She explained how it had inspired a song that she believed captured the very human spirit of Elvis Presley, the man behind the legend. "This song," she said, looking around the faces in the room, some intrigued, some skeptical, but all listening intently, "is called Echoes in Graceland. It's a tribute to the king, yes, but more so, it's a tribute to the man, Elvis Aaron Presley, and the enduring heart he left behind in this very home." She closed her eyes for a moment, picturing the TV room, feeling that comforting presence. Then she began to strum the guitar, and her voice, clear and heartfelt, filled the elegant living room. The melody was hauntingly beautiful, tinged with a bluesy melancholy that resonated deep within the soul. He felt a gentle presence, a whisper in the air, a heart so full of music, a joy beyond compare. "Oh, the echoes in Graceland they softly sing, his tune a spirit never fading beneath the Memphis moon. Not a ghost with chains and shadows, no frightful chilling plea, just the heart of Elvis Presley reaching out to me." As she sang, the emotions she had felt in the TV room poured out of her. The sadness was palpable, the joy infectious, the love boundless. It was a raw, honest performance, fueled by her profound connection to the story. When the last note faded, The room was silent. A hush, thick with emotion, hung in the air. Then slowly a ripple of applause began growing into a heartfelt ovation. Some people had tears in their eyes, including Mr. Henderson, whose face was beaming with pride. Maya rushed over, embracing Lena. "Lena, that was incredible. I felt it. I really did. The song, it's amazing. It made me feel like I understood a little bit of that haunting, too." Lena felt a warmth spread through her. She hadn't just sung a song. She had shared a piece of Graceland's soul, a deeper understanding of its most famous resident. The haunted room was no longer a hidden secret. It was becoming a pathway to a more profound connection with Elvis, the man, and Lena, through her music, was helping to open that path for others. The heart of Graceland, she realized truly, lay in its echoes. The performance of Echoes in Graceland spread like wildfire through the Graceland staff. The informal gathering might have been small, but the impact was significant. Word got around, and soon more and more staff members, even those who had been skeptical, approached Lena, eager to hear her song or to share their own quiet experiences of feeling something unique in the TV room. Some longtime employees, inspired by Lena's openness, began to share their own anecdotes about Elvis's mentions of the haunting, corroborating Mr. Henderson's stories. It wasn't just a rumor anymore. It was a shared understanding, a quiet legacy passed down through the years. TV room was no longer just a display. It was a living, breathing testament to Elvis's complex humanity. Lena continued her daily visits to the TV room, not just for inspiration, but now out of profound respect and gratitude. The room felt like a silent partner, a source of comfort and wisdom. She'd sit there, simply being, feeling the layers of history, creativity, and emotion. She wrote more songs inspired by her Graceland experience, each one reflecting a different facet of Elvis's life and the profound feelings that lingered in his home. She learned to recognize the subtle cues of the haunting, a particular shade of melancholy, a vibrant burst of energy, a profound sense of peace. She began to see these not as just Elvis's past emotions, but as universal human experiences, amplified by a legendary figure. It made her feel less alone in her own struggles as an artist and more connected to the broader tapestry of human creativity and emotion. One afternoon, Mr. Henderson found Lena in the TV room, just sitting quietly. He pulled up a small stool and sat beside her. "You know, Lena," he began, his voice reflective, "Elvis always wanted his music to live on, to touch generations. He worried sometimes what would happen after he was gone. Would people forget? Would the music fade?" Lena looked at him. "No, of course not. Timeless. Yes, but the feeling behind it, the man who created it, that's what truly lasts. And what you've done, Lena, with your song, with your understanding of this room, you've given a voice to his quiet heart, to the part of him that wasn't the king, but just Elvis." He gestured around the room. "This room, it's not just a collection of objects. It's a repository of his soul, and it's not haunted by a ghost, but by the love and passion that still echo within its walls. You've shown people that." Lena felt a lump in her throat. "It's been a gift, Mr. Henderson, a profound gift this summer. This place, it's changed me. That's what Graceland does for those who truly listen," he said, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "It teaches you about more than just a famous person. It teaches you about life, about dreams, about the enduring power of art and connection." As the summer drew to a close, Lena prepared to leave Graceland and return to college. She felt a mix of sadness and profound gratitude. She was leaving a place that had become a second home, a sanctuary and a source of immeasurable inspiration. She was no longer just an aspiring musician. She was an artist who had found her voice, thanks to the quiet whispers of a legendary soul. On her last day, Lena stood once more in the TV room. The familiar presence was there, a comforting embrace. She didn't feel sadness at leaving, but a sense of completion and a renewed purpose. She had come seeking an understanding of a legend, and she had found a deeper truth about humanity, about the power of emotional resonance, and about the enduring legacy of a man who poured his heart into everything he did. She hummed echoes in Graceland, softly, a silent farewell and a promise. The haunting was not a burden but a blessing. It was a reminder that true spirit never dies, but simply transforms, continuing to inspire and connect across time and space. She knew that wherever she went, whatever music she created, the echoes of Graceland, the whispers of the king's human heart, would stay with her, guiding her on her path. The legacy of Elvis, she realized, wasn't just in his records or his movies, but in the enduring spirit that lived on, especially in the quiet, haunted heart of Graceland. Months later, back at college, Lena's life had irrevocably changed. The experience at Graceland had given her a new depth, a new purpose in her music. Echoes in Graceland had become the cornerstone of her developing repertoire. She performed it at open mic nights, at campus events, and even in small coffee shops, always introducing it with the story of the TV room and the haunting that wasn't scary, but heartwarming. People were captivated, not just by the beautiful melody in Lena's sincere voice, but by the story behind it. They were fascinated by the idea of a room holding the emotional imprint of a legend. They felt the humanity in her song, the connection to a different, more vulnerable side of Elvis Presley. One evening, after a particularly moving performance at a local club, Lena received an email. It was from the Graceland communications team. They had heard about her song and its growing popularity. They were particularly touched by how she spoke of the TV room. They wanted to feature her and her song on the official Graceland blog and potentially in a future short documentary about the less-known stories of the mansion. Lena felt a surge of pure joy. This was it. Her dream born in the quiet haunted room was taking flight. She collaborated with Graceland, sharing her story, her song, and her unique perspective on the TV room. The article, The Heartbeat in the Basement, How Graceland's Haunted Room Inspires a New Generation, went viral among Elvis fans and history buffs alike. Lena's gentle interpretation of the haunting resonated with people, offering a comforting and profound way to connect with Elvis's spirit. Letters poured in. People shared their own feelings about the TV room, acknowledging a similar sense of peace or energy they had felt, though they hadn't known the story. Some even wrote of feeling inspired themselves. Artists who had visited Graceland and now understood why they felt a sudden urge to create when they were there. Mr. Henderson called her, his voice brimming with pride. "Lena, you've done it. You've given voice to something truly special. You've shown the world that the King's legacy isn't just about the music or the fame, but about the profound human spirit that lives on. You've helped people understand the true heart of Graceland. The haunting of the TV room wasn't about specters or chills. It was about the enduring power of emotion, the indelible mark a person leaves on the places they inhabit. It was about connection, inspiration, and the universe language." Her song, Echoes in Graceland, was gaining traction. A small, independent record label expressed interest. Lena, the shy college student who had walked into Graceland with a backpack and a dream, was becoming an artist guided by the unseen hand of a legend. She still visited Graceland whenever she could, especially during school breaks. And every time her first stop was the TV room, she'd stand there taking a deep breath, letting the familiar presence wash over her. It was no longer a mystery to be solved, but a quiet, comforting friendship. The room felt lighter now, perhaps because its truth was finally being understood, shared and celebrated. The 3 TVs still played Elvis's concerts, his voice filling the room, timeless and vibrant. Lena realized that the haunting wasn't a phenomenon of the past, it was a continuous living stream of inspiration. A reminder that the greatest legends never truly leave us, they simply transform, becoming the enduring harmony in the background of our own lives, urging us to find our own truth and to share our own song with the world. Lena's journey had begun with a whispered secret in a historic home. It had led her to discover a profound connection, to unlock her own creative potential, and to share a heartwarming truth about a global icon. The haunted room in Graceland wasn't a place of fear, but a sanctuary of spirit, a testament to the fact that love, passion, and music truly are eternal. And for Lena, that was the most beautiful echo of all.